Brilliance Audio presents Hot Property by Sherryl Woods, performed by Tavia Gilbert. Discovering a corpse first thing in the morning shot the hell out of Molly DeWitt's plans for getting to the office early. Outside the condominium's wall-to-wall sliding glass doors, wispy clouds scudded across a near-perfect spring sky. Faced with death, Molly had the irrational feeling that those clouds should have had the decency to shade the sun. Instead, the unrelenting light streamed into the Ocean Manor card room, illuminating the murdered man in a macabre spotlight. She stood frozen in the doorway, her gaze fastened on the glistening, serrated knife sticking out of Alan Winecroft's back. The bloodstain surrounding it had absolutely ruined his designer polo shirt, which had once been the golden color of melted butter. It now looked as if it had been tie-dyed. Swallowing hard and staring at the mess, Molly thought about all those new condominium rules legislating absolute tidiness in all of the public areas. Alan Winecroft had drafted every one of them. Little had he known that he was about to become the rule's worst offender. The irony of that didn't escape her. In fact, that little glimmer of gallows humor was about the only thing keeping her from screaming her head off. Not so much in fear as in frustration. She was really getting tired of murders, especially in her own backyard. Less than 6 months earlier, Molly had sold her lovely Spanish-style house in an older Bayside section of Miami because of the burglaries, and because a Colombian drug dealer had been shot to death under the corner street lamp just outside her door. She'd been watching the news at the time. It had been a fairly routine news night, actually. There had been another home invasion robbery in Fort Lauderdale and another record haul of cocaine discovered on a decrepit fishing boat in the Miami River. More AIDS-infected needles had been found near a school playground. The sound of shots had sent Molly diving for the floor. When her knees hit the tile, she'd spent about 10 seconds cursing at the pain, then reached for the phone and called a real estate agent. She'd figured someone else could summon the police. The minute a deal for the house had been struck, she'd been looking for someplace safe for herself and her 8-year-old son. The thought of leaving South Florida had never once occurred to her, only getting away from that jinxed house, where even her marriage at the end had been almost criminal in its polite emptiness. Beyond that, though, she loved Miami's ethnic diversity, its vibrancy, even its conflicts. There was a passionate undercurrent here that either invaded the soul or robbed you blind. She wanted the passion, but was determined to minimize the danger. How many TVs and stereos and VCRs could she be expected to replace in one lifetime anyway? In practically no time at all, she had chosen Key Biscayne. Not only was the island beautiful, but more important, it was a relatively safe haven compared to Miami. Bumper stickers, faded navy blue with yellow lettering, proclaimed it Paradise Found. Like all bumper sticker philosophy, the phrase held more than a grain of truth. Only a 15-minute drive from downtown Miami, Key Biscayne was a world apart in attitude. The old-timers on the island, in fact, were still bemoaning the loss of the drawbridge. That bridge had intimidated most criminals. They had stayed away for fear of being caught on the wrong side, with police on their heels and a yawning emptiness over Biscayne Bay ahead of them. Now an almost blinding white span climbed into the sky and curved down again, providing 3 lanes of clear sailing back to the mainland. The new bridge had provided easier access for developers, beachgoers, and criminals alike. It also made Key Biscayne convenient to Molly's job. The Miami-Dade Film Commission office, which had inexplicably been made part of the Parks Department, was housed in the old gatehouse of the famed Vizcaya estate, practically at the end of the Rickenbacker Causeway. She could be there in exactly 12 minutes, 10 if she ignored the 45-mile-an-hour speed limit, the way everyone else did.